How's it going, people? Bobby here. You might know me online as Ironhammer5, and today here's my full review on my juicy CthulhuMod of the Cthulhu RTA that I made an unboxing of the other day. Now I've had it for a whole week. Let's take a look at it. So here it is, guys, the Cthulhu RTA. Unlike some other reviewers, I've been using this every day for a week now before I'm putting a video up that's labelled a review. Comes in this cool box, as you might have seen in my unboxing video that I made the other day. Some extras in there, spare little tiny little grub screws, all the usual stuff, loads and loads of O-rings, blue screwdriver, who would be complete without a blue screwdriver, some different screws and stuff in there as well, and then you've got an authentication thing in the bottom there that you can check out on their website. And that was my phone. I hope that wasn't too loud. I hope it doesn't do that again. You get props if you can guess where that sound came from, which was on my phone just now. If you know, leave a comment. So it comes in this cool little plastic box, which you could probably use to keep some other stuff in if you wanted to. That's pretty handy. And then there's the tank. So I mentioned in my unboxing video that there was a couple of little things with it. When I was trying to undo it, it was a bit tricky, and I've kind of thought more about those over the week that I've been using it, and I can talk to you more about those things now. Let's go through it one by one. You've got the wide drip tip at the top and a super wide chimney as well, where you can see all the way down to the coils if you're in the right light. Then you have the top section which comes off, and this is where I'm talking about. So if you unscrew this top part all in one piece like this, it will come off a certain way, and you can see how it's kind of, it's on there still, but it's rattly, right? And to get it off, it kind of takes a while, but to get it back in is even more tricky, right? So let me show you why that is. We're getting straight into the nitty gritty here, aren't we, guys? So this comes apart in a few pieces. This part comes off, and you can see there, that's your fill holes in this side for your K-Fun 4 style top fill. Then there's another section that comes off the top here, like this. And if you try to screw this all back on in one piece, it's a little bit of an issue because of this little washer in here, this little nut in here. It's threaded on the inside, and it sits in here, right? But it spins. There's nothing to hold it in place, right? It should have been squared or something on the bottom instead of on the top, so that it didn't spin in that hole, but it does spin in that hole. And so if you want to just kind of put all this back on together, it's really awkward to get it all back on, because that will spin when you try and screw it back onto here. If you see, when I put this in, it lifts it up. I don't know if you could tell. So it's like that. When I put this threaded section in, it lifts up like that. It's just a bit of a silly design, to be honest, that part, and it makes screwing the top a little bit awkward when you're trying to put it back together. But once you got it back together, it stays on there just fine, alright, guys? So don't worry about that. So the way that I found is probably easiest to do it is to put this section back onto the top of your tank. It sits on there like that, and then put this little nut on there. It's really awkward, but once you get that threaded on a little bit, if you can, the threads aren't great, they're really tricky to get it on properly, but once you get that threaded on a little bit, just tighten it down a little bit, and then if you put the rest of the tank back together, it's juicy, it's juicy, I'm struggling. Right, you put that back together, and then when you put this top part back on, it will kind of give it a little bit of pressure, and you can screw this back down again. And even then, it's taken some serious screwing to get it all the way down, right? But once it does catch, it will tighten down. And then you've got it back together. So that's the first thing I've noticed about it since my last video. That top part, I mentioned it was a bit hard to get on and off. That's why. So that's out of the way. Let's get it off again, if we can. Take a look at the rest of the atomizer. You've got your glass tank. It's not too thick, the glass, and I haven't seen any spares available for sale yet. Then you've got your chimney section, which comes into two there, of course. Got your two parts with the Cthulhu logo on that part. It comes apart there. It's got an O-ring inside there, and it seals very nicely once you get it on there. Just, a little bit awkward to get it back on there, though. The threads, I mentioned in my first video, the threads seem nice, which they are once they catch, but they're a little bit of a pain to catch. And that's kind of the case in quite a few places on this ATI I've noticed using it over time. And then we have the build deck, which you've seen before in my other video. Here it has a coil build on it, nice deep juice wells, grub screws in the top, and I'm too lazy to take the build out. And there is the deck. If I bring it up a little bit closer for you guys, you can see it in all its glory. There's my janky build that I've been using on here. 26 gauge, I think it was 7 wraps. It comes out about 0.4 ohms. It's a 2.5mm coil. You can fit a 3mm coil in there. I have done it. I've found 2.5 was better. When I put a 3mm coil in there, you can see it's pretty tight as it is. You can get it a bit closer to the center post, but what I've noticed is if you put a 3mm in there, when you kind of try and inhale through it, the coil is so big it kind of restricts the airflow a little bit. So I prefer it with a 2.5mm coil in there. That's the size that I've been building. I tried a 2mm as well, but it's kind of small, right? You can see there, look, my center post block is not quite straight. It's a little bit twisted. And they're so close together that if it twists a little bit, it will touch the negative post straight away. So this pin on the bottom, where we see the serial number, Cthulhu, and a pin, which it says is adjustable on the pin. So I adjusted it to try and put it on my hybrid mod. It does kind of stick out just about enough anyway for a hybrid mod, if you really want to go for it. But I adjusted it out a little bit to try and put it on a hybrid mod, and I very quickly found out after rebuilding on it. I kind of did it all at the same time I was rebuilding it, and the ohms were jumping around everywhere, and I was like, what the hell's going on, right? So I built it like 3 times in a row, trying to figure out why these ohms were jumping around. I kept thinking I'd cut the screws off, because if you tighten these grub screws up too much, it will cut your wire. I kept thinking that maybe it was cut and that's why it was moving and the ohms were changing. After building it 3 times, I discovered that because I'd adjusted the center pin, my center post has twisted and it was touching the other negative post, and that was causing all kinds of weird ohm readings and shorts and everything else, and that was why. So if you're counting on that being adjustable, it isn't. I spoke to the guys who make this CthulhuMod, and they told me that in the next version they plan to fix that center post thing. I've seen quite a few people mention that their center post is spinning. If you tighten that up, it does seem to hold it really well. Like, it's tight at the moment. It's not quite straight, but it's not touching. It's been working fine like that. You can obviously straighten it out if you wish. Nice wide juice channels, all that stuff. Adjustable airflow on the bottom. It's really juicy. It's quite tight to turn. Once you turn it, it will adjust. You can see it adjusting there. You get the idea, right? That ring does come off there as well, if you wish to do that. So there's the base, guys. So what I'm going to do, I think, is after showing you that and those 2 little things, everything else about this thing, the way it vapes once you've got it built, is fine. There's a couple of things. There's the top part of the tank, and there is the spinning center post, which isn't a problem if you keep it tightened up, but they do advertise it as having an adjustable center pin. So that's a bit of a mistake on their part, I would say. And the top part, once you figure out how to get it on there, you can do it, but they should have done something different with this, right? Because that little pin in there, that little nut in there, like a screw thing, you can see it's falling out again in there. Like, even with this part on top, it's not tight. So that makes screwing the top on quite tricky. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to wick this up, and I'm going to do that in a separate video for you guys to show you how I've been wicking it, because I've seen quite a few people asking. And then you'll see me very shortly talking about this once I've wicked it and filled it up. We'll talk about how it vapes, how I've got on with it, and apart from those niggers, I'll tell you this now, guys, the vape is absolutely amazing. So see you in a sec. So here it is all wicked, guys. I wick it in the juice channels. Go and watch my video that I just recorded there, which will be separate if you would like to see exactly my method for doing that. But it's all wicked. We're going to put it back together now. We're going to try and get this chimney section back on, and I'm going to try and get this to focus a little bit differently, because That'll make it easier for me. So you're going to want to get this back over your wicks. Have I got it the right way around? Yep. There might even be a tiny bit too much wick in there. This one, once again, is tricky to get the threads started. But once you get them started, screws down nicely. And you can see once it's all in there, it's quite a tight fit. So that's why I said like a 3mm coil is really pushing it. Hopefully you can kind of see that. You see there's not much space left in there once you've done that. So there's that. Put the chimney section back on, and then soon we're going to see the moment of, whoops, sorry microphone. Soon we're going to see the moment of truth regarding the top fill. Wrong part. I'm a dummy. Then we've got this part, which goes on the bottom. The juice I was using was cookie dough from Vapor Depot. So this, I'm going to try and screw it on without taking it all apart here. And you can see I'm screwing it for ages, this top part. Eventually it does catch and it does tighten, but look, it's still on there and it's still wiggling. Still hasn't caught yet, still hasn't caught yet, still hasn't caught yet. Keep screwing, keep screwing, keep screwing. Maybe tighten that top part down a little bit. Has it caught now? I think it might have. No, still hasn't caught. See, this is what I'm saying, guys. If you want to put this all, you should be able to screw this all in one piece, right? Without all this messing around. That shouldn't be a thing. They should have thought of something else with that. But yeah, so it's going to take forever if I do it like this. I have managed to get it to work like that before, but that ain't going to happen on this video at that angle. So I'm going to have to do it the way I showed you. See, I should have listened to my own advice, right? Take these parts off. It's all juicy and I can't unscrew it. There we go. Put that back on. Put this silly little nut thing back on. Get the threads to catch, which is easier said than done because it's really fiddly. And I have really tiny hands and fingers, so anybody out there who's got big chunky fingers, you're probably going to hate this even more than what I do. There we go, I've finally got the threads to catch on there. Now we shouldn't have any troubles with screwing this part down and screwing this part down. And then screwing the whole top down. Is it going to work this time? Feels like it has. Yeah, we're tightening, I think. It's getting tight. Yep. It's juicy, but it's getting tighter. So there we go. Now my spaghetti's covered in juice too. Such is life. Other thing I've noticed, by the way, the airflow. When you screw it down, it's impossible to turn the airflow once it's screwed onto a mod. Like, you try and turn it and you can't get your fingers into that bottom ring and there's nothing to grab hold of. So I've found to close the airflow, you do have to kind of take it off your mod and then close it down or open it. And it's so juicy right now, it's impossible. So yeah, it's hard to adjust the airflow while it's on your mod because the mod pushes this part up, right? So here's the moment of truth with the top fill. If I could, I'm gonna have to wipe this off with my shirt or something because it's so juicy. That one's for you, Kathy, wiping stuff on my clothes again. Sorry. So fuck it, here goes nothing, right? Top fill, airflow holes open. You can just jam your bottle in there. If you have a thinner bottle, it's a bit harder, but you can fill it up to the top kind of this part here. Like, if I can explain it properly, You can see the holes inside there, and you don't have to stop at this metal section. You can fill it up to where these threads are on the side if you want. And if you want to get the full 4 milliliters juice in there, that's how you're going to have to do it. Just fill it up, fill it up, fill it up, fill it up. Oh, I hate these bottles. Vapor Depot, get the squidgy bottles. I hate these bottles. Filled with juice. Top section back on. If I could grip it, stripped it back on. There we go, it's filled. And no flooding, no gurgling. Didn't even close the airflow holes off. And we should, in theory, be able to stick it straight onto a mod and have a little vape and hope that it doesn't flood or leak or do anything. It hasn't happened yet. Now my luck, it will happen on this video. There's vapor. It's working, and you can see bubbles in there. It's starting to wick up a little bit too. So there it is. Let's talk about it, guys. So there it was, guys. That video was a bit weird, a bit long, a bit messy. That's the state of the Vapor Depot bottle after I squeezed it to fill it up. You can see it's been a few minutes now since I filled it up. Still no leaking, still no flooding, none of that, and it's wicking. And it's vaping like a treat. So this tank, my verdict on it, right? You've been waiting for that, I assume. That's why you watched the review, right? Vapes absolutely beautifully. There's a couple of niggles. The adjustable center pin doesn't really bother me that much, that it's not adjustable and that the post turns, because once you tighten it, it stays tight, and I'm not that bothered. I did use it on my 4.9 and it makes a sweet little combo on top of a 4.9, and because you can build it low, it vapes okay on a mech mod, right? But that's why I was adjusting it, because I wanted the throw to be shorter on the switch. But that's not so much of a big deal for me, but it bothers me because they've got all over their website it says adjustable pin, but it isn't, right? So that's what frustrates me about that. The top fill part works a treat, like I showed you guys. I didn't have to close the airflow holes off. Everyone advises that you close the airflow holes off. The way I've been wicking it, I've had no trouble with anything, right? If you fill it up with the airflow holes open and all your juice comes straight out the bottom, I'm sorry, but I haven't had that happen to me, right? Then you've got that little weird nut thing in there, right? It should either be like screwed on the outside so it doesn't come out, like reverse threaded maybe, or it should be like squared off or press fit tight or something so that it doesn't spin when you're trying to put the top back on. So you can put that whole top section back on in one go, without having to take all the individual parts apart, right? That would be a big improvement in my opinion. Like I said, they said they're going to fix the center post thing in the next version, and that they'll send me one over. The new version, which has got that fixed, so I'll update you guys if they send me one of those out. But to be honest, aside from those two things, everything else is great, right? I love the way it vapes more than any other tank that I've ever owned. This is my favourite tank. It's taken me away from drippers for a good few days. I've still been getting them out now and again, but this has been like my go-to tank and my go-to device. This is what I've been carrying around. The Sigeli with the Cthulhu. It holds 4 milliliters of juice. It will drain it fast, but that doesn't matter so much when you've got this top fill. Like, you could just unscrew the top section, juice in there, which would be easier if you had squidgy bottles, Vapor Depot, and that's that done. So I did get this one from Vapor Depot, who also sent me this juice. There are a couple of cool guys over there. They hang out on Reddit. I've spoken to them quite a bit now. They've got more of these coming in very, very soon, so check it out if you're in the UK. They do ship worldwide for a very reasonable price, I believe, as well. So shout out to Vapor Depot for getting these in. I think they were the first people who had them. and they shipped it out to me the next day. So I was very lucky, and I managed to be one of the first people that had them. But notice I didn't make a review the first day I got it. I made an unboxing video, showed you it very quickly. This is my review, because since then I've obviously noticed different things about it. So there's other reviews out there that I've seen where people have had it for like half an hour, so or probably a bit longer than that, but they've had it like a day or two and they're reviewing it. I disagree with that. I don't think that's the way you should review shit. I used to review video games. Imagine if I reviewed a video game before I played it all. Be stupid, right? Same goes for this. So there we go. After a week, I don't care about the center post. I don't care about that nut. Once you get it built together, it's so fucking easy to fill. Such a nice vape. I'd like to see those issues fixed in a new version. But this juice is... I'm just intrigued by the flavour of this juice, guys. Yeah, off subject again. But this is my favourite tank that I've ever owned. This is probably my favourite thing that I'm vaping on altogether right now. So there you have it, guys. The Cthulhu RTA. There's my thoughts after vaping on it every single day for a whole week. Do subscribe if you want to catch my future videos. There'll be more hardware coming up. There'll be more juice reviews coming up. There'll be the Wiccan video coming up next. All kinds of shit coming up in the future, guys, so stay tuned for that. Like the video, leave a comment if you've got any questions about this, or if you've got one, have you noticed anything that I didn't notice, maybe? Leave it down below. If you've got any more questions, I will try and answer them in the comments. You can reach me by email by going to ironhammer5.com and clicking the email me little button there, if you want to get in touch for any reason whatsoever. And follow me on Twitter, ironhammer5, Instagram, ironhammer5. I'll leave you with that. Take care. Bye-bye. Ah! That one got stuck in my throat. One more thing. I've been vaping this up to like 50-60 watts. Absolutely fine. You know when the vapor kind of condenses in the back of your throat? That's what happened. It made my eyes water. See you later, guys. I'm going to vape some more. Take care. Try and cure it. More vapor can only be the answer, right? That's what I get for trying to say bye-bye with a throat full of vapor. See you later, guys.